whipping the back wheels out of alignment and forcing it into a skid. He's stopping it dead in its tracks. Immediately behind, a second police car hits the brakes and screeches to a halt, ready to make an interception.
Open the door! Step out of the vehicle!
On the open road, the pursuit intervention technique is an ideal way of stopping a vehicle. But try it in a typical city street, and the chances of flipping the car onto a busy sidewalk makes it far too risky. So to tackle this problem, the police have been forced to develop another weapon in their war on runaway drivers. The next device in the Highway Patrol's armoury is this clever strip of spikes, often called a stinger. The idea behind it is to puncture the tyres of the fleeing car. But in order to prevent a sudden tyre blowout that could cause the car to lose control and crash, it's designed to make the runaway car's tyres deflate gradually.
The idea is for the suspect vehicle to come to a safe stop at the conclusion of the spike strip deployment.
That's the theory, so for our second lesson, let's see how it works in practice. Let's imagine there's been a raid on a liquor store and the criminal gang have made off with a stash of booze. An inevitable high-speed chase ensues. The roads are busy and it's too dangerous for the police to risk the Pitts manoeuvre. So the pursuing officer has radioed ahead and a colleague lays out a spike strip. As the evil gang drive over the strip, the spikes embed themselves in the tyres and, like porcupine quills, snap off. But here's the difference. Rather than blowing the tyres and causing a crash, these spikes are hollow and deflate the tyres over a short distance. So as the officer quickly pulls away the strip, his colleague can move in on the disabled vehicle as it trundles to a halt.
Driver, put your hands in the air!
If the suspect continued to drive on this tire, it would continue to deflate, but eventually shred, and they would be down to the rims, and it would be difficult, if not impossible, for the suspect to maintain control of their vehicle.
Thanks to the spike strip, the police can halt a driver with minimal risk. But what do you do when someone is so determined to escape, he carries on driving on flats? How do you stop a maniac who refuses to stop no matter what? This is a scenario more often facing the military than the police. So we've called on our friends in the US Army for our final lesson in hardcore traffic control. They've come to demonstrate this, the X-Net. Created by a British firm called Kinetic, the X-Net is designed to safely halt a speeding car and ensure it's completely impossible to drive. To do this, it employs a two-pronged attack, which both punctures the tyres and wraps itself around the car's wheels and axle. To see exactly how it works, we've set up a US Army roadblock to stop illegal smugglers. But when our Army guard flags down a suspected trafficker, rather than slow, the driver speeds through. He could be laden with illegal goods. On the other hand, it could be he's simply panicked.
We have a gate run, we have a gate run.
So rather than risk opening fire, this is a job for the X-Net. Bingo! With the net wrapped around his axle like a lovesick python, this guy isn't going anywhere. The X-Net is one versatile piece of kit. It can halt almost any size of vehicle, from a speeding Mini to a fully laden truck, and has already been used at roadblocks in Afghanistan and Iraq. At around $5,000 a time, it isn't cheap, but a budget version is already being developed for law enforcement applications. So next time you're tempted to make a break for freedom when faced with a parking ticket, think again. You wouldn't want Officer Phil or the US Army hot on your tail. Because if they are forced to stop your car, it won't just be for a quiet chat.
Put your hands in the air!